for those of you who don't know, I'm Mel Shapcott, founder of Invisible Lotus. I'm an artist and entrepreneur. I offer Web3 training and consulting through my company, and more importantly, I advocate for diversity and inclusion in Web3. I believe this is an incredibly pivotal time where we have the power to have a lasting impact, particularly in this industry. As the co-founder of the House of Abstract Metaverse exhibition, I was instrumental in bringing together a global community of artists who are now transacting, collaborating across blockchains, and setting the stage for what's to come. So I would love to introduce our panel today, The Rise of the Digital Economy. And my panelists here, would you please go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Jumana Al-Darwish. I'm actually based in Dubai, so I flew over to be here with you all, and I'm just so excited to meet so many incredible builders, creators within this community. By way of profession, I actually was a former government official, and then I jumped into the world of entrepreneurship about 9 years ago, started multiple enterprises in art and education. I recently got into tech 2 years ago, and I've been building extensively within the Web3 arena. So today I am representing a couple of my platforms, one of which is called Made for You Global. It's a platform which aims to support female entrepreneurs and business leaders through our Web3 technology. It's a decentralized app, which is really exciting, and there are components of a DAO and a metaverse university. In terms of the other platform that I am representing and actually wearing their details, it's called X37. It's really exciting because the fact that I'm based in Dubai right now, you know, it's still very much in its embryonic stage in terms of Web3. And so what we're trying to do is help companies bridge the gap between Web2 and Web3 and really adopt, the functionalities of Web3 and enhance their businesses through its usage. So very happy to be here, and thank you for having me.
Thank you, Jumana. Carol?
Hey, well, I'm Carol Murphy, partner at Surfer Girl. It's a marketing consulting and art gallery supporting emerging women artists based in New York. I'm also co-founder of Web3 Sisters, which is a company that's dedicated to onboarding brands and artists to the Web3 economy. And I'm all about entering this NFT world and seeing what new opportunities we have here to support artists around the world and also integrate and involve so many more people. So thank you so much for having me here.
Wonderful.
I'm Walter Sheffitz from Virtual, which is a virtual jewelry company, which Web3 is really a combination of everything I've ever done. I've had 3 different careers. I started my career in the Web 1 days making audio, video software for the web 10 years, 15 years before YouTube, back when I was doing the same thing, talking on as a speaker. After about 7 years developing software and technology, it became boring, so I started taking a night school class in jewelry and quickly fell in love with the process of making. I've been an artist since I was a kid. And making jewelry, I quickly realized I couldn't make what was in my mind, so I taught myself CAD and started 3D printing jewelry in the 90s. Very, very few people were doing it back then. That actually got me a job in the luxury business in New York, designing luxury goods. I designed luxury goods, watches, fragrance bottles. And after 7 years of doing that, it too became boring, and I worked on developing community here in Miami. When I found Web3, I realized I could incorporate my software, my jewelry, and community all in one. And so now my jewelry has meaning again.
Thank you, Walter. All right, so our panel topic today is the rise of the digital economy. And while the digital economy is not new, Web3 is a rapidly emerging sector which is transforming the way we conduct business, the way we communicate, and even how we meet with one another. It has the potential to radically change the world for better or for worse. And we can probably all agree as an industry we're going through some growing pains right now. But that doesn't detract from the true potential of this technology. So today we're going to be discussing the digital economy from a Web3 perspective. And I would like to direct the first question to Jumana. Please feel free to add your comments as well. So you said you work to bridge the gap between Web 2 and Web 3. And why is it important to educate and help companies leverage the blockchain?
I think in terms of what's holding us all back, right now we're at that stage where we're disrupting currently the way that we do business. There's so much potential with the use of Web3 and blockchain technology. But what's lagging behind is that knowledge gap on how to use it, how to adopt it to your business, how could it work to enhance, to reach to the masses, to your clientele. So the way that we're doing it in Dubai is, like I said, Dubai, it's still very much in its embryonic stage in terms of the understanding of Web3 and its usage. And so by helping them kind of act like a launch pad to support them and understand their business model, what their mandate is, what they hope to achieve with blockchain, we're there to kind of bridge the gap, hold their hand, and support them in every way possible, be it through our team of developers, be it through also Web3 kind of communications. It's just a matter of really creating that support or that economy of support, let's say, to enable us to really rise and reach to our potential using this technology. And it's been actually a very fun ride because, the more that, we're all really intimidated at first when it comes to blockchain and Web3. I remember when I first got into the space 2 years ago, I was terrified. And that's actually the masses, we're like a minute percentage of us that actually understand it, understand crypto, understand use of, the tech capabilities of blockchain. So I think we need to kind of eliminate that barrier and have it more inclusive. And the only way towards inclusivity and adoption is through actually knowledge development.
And you were pointing out that if we don't adopt this technology, if we don't educate, then you'll be left behind in the digital economy.
Absolutely. I mean, the world is moving towards, by the end of the decade, I read a report by World Economic Forum, is that even our physical kind of assets are going to be digitized, So literally we're moving into an economy, a computable economy, literally, where everything is going to be on public ledgers and, very transparent. And actually the basis of a digital economy is transparency. Digital economies work when everything is transparent, and blockchain provides that. So.
Thank you. Okay, Carol. So why have you emphasized onboarding people to Web3, and why is this important from an economic perspective?
Well, it has a lot to do with what we were talking about just now, the the education and the barriers that exist today to access this technology. So it's hard, right? So the learning curve is tough because we're at this very embryonic stage and very much at the start. This is also the opportunity because the people that are here today are going to be the ones shaping the culture of the space and shaping the culture of everything coming forward, because like you say, we're the shapers. So when we think about who's here today and who's participating, we want this to be as inclusive as possible, as open as possible. In my personal, from my side, my task has been to bring in artists, right, to this new world, because for one reason.
And women too, right?
Sorry?
And women too, right?
Women artists particularly, yes. But in general, and I work with women artists, so basically we're onboarding a lot of women artists. But in terms of the artist mentality, I think it would be incredibly beautiful to have a world in the future that is shaped by a different worldview, right? So not a worldview shaped by technologists, not a worldview shaped by financiers, that of course everyone participates, but we want to have also the artists participating. We want to have women included to the degree that we exist, in the real world with no barriers. So I've focused a lot on that because I really think that, yes, things are going to get easier, and we're going to be onboarding a lot more people in 2 years when the technology is easier to access and so on. But that's going to be set. Things are built for the people that use them. So when we bring in as many, in my case, artists as possible in here today, as many women today, things are going to be built for these people, and this is what we want moving forward. So that's been my big focus on onboarding.
Thank you, Carol. That was really insightful. And for Walter, how is the digital economy fostering a global community, and what role does the metaverse play?
Well, the metaverse is my playground, and the economy is the gas. As a creator, I now have access and and collectors from all around the world. But the metaverse, more than the economy right now is the community. It really is the people that I'm interacting with in the world for a year and now meeting here in person. It's that interaction which is motivating me as a designer.
Your community is your currency.
Right.
Literally.
Yeah. And the digital economy is empowering that.
And to add to that, I think it's true. Sometimes when we speak about definitions of the metaverse, you say, well, the metaverse today for me is Twitter, actually. That's where I'm generating community. That's where I'm interacting. So yes, this will develop into a different type of, hopefully virtual world where we can interact in different ways and not just through a company as well, no, that we can interact. But the metaverse is where you build community. The metaverse is where you're living your digital life.
And it's a place as an artist to experiment. Right now, last week, I created an underground aquarium with mythical creatures swimming under the water. Wow. Can't do that here. And to create that in 2 weeks and to literally, as creating it, like being alone on that island and then having a party and having, 100 people show up and enjoy that with you is so rewarding.
So do you think that the digital economy is linked with social media, or is the metaverse the next iteration of social media that's coming out of this?
Aren't they intertwined? I mean, the social media is maybe the language of the metaverse, but maybe it is a metaverse.
I think it's acting as a metaverse now because this is where conversations are happening. I mean, the metaverse, when we think about digital economies, at the end of the day, it's people interacting with each other, doing business with each other. So where that space is going to be, if this is going to be on a virtual world, on a virtual meeting room, today it's happening through the social media. Hopefully, we'll have more interesting spaces to share ourselves that don't, have all the baggage of today's social media,
more
right?
decentralized,
Maybe,
more representative.
That would be interesting. No?
Absolutely.
Because we're using what is available today, right? But then we're going to have to build our custom metaverses, our custom social media that really works for what we're doing now.
And social media is going to change, inevitably. So what you see right now as apps that we constantly use in our day-to-day, watch Twitter change now, watch all of the ones, Facebook has plans for integration already is rolling out metaverse integration. So even the use of or the role of social media is going to change dramatically, actually, in the coming few years.
And I really hope that there's a broader, more representative voice that is directing, these social medias, these metaverses, than what we're seeing right now.
We were talking before about UI and UX and how that is, we are at an interesting point in this lineage where if the design, people go towards good design. And if Facebook creates a well-designed metaverse, there's a fear everybody might go there. So as creators, right now, we need to think about what it means to create a decentralized platform that works easily for the masses.
Wonderful, wonderful. So my next question, for anyone who wants to take this question, can the digital economy be leveraged to close the technology and wealth gap that's experienced by people who have been systemically disadvantaged?
Ooh, I love this one. I'm going to take a stab at this one. My background is also community and ethnic studies. And so I have been working for the past 17 years on helping close this gap and also working on programmatic functions that support the sustainable development goals globally, on closing like the poverty gap, closing the education gap, closing the tech gap as well. So I do believe that blockchain is a beautiful kind of technology, or it is the way forward. Web3 is technically the way forward. But the usage of how it's going to support those that are most in need or most underprivileged is going to take so much time. Right now, you hear there's amazing and incredible NFT collections that have been rolled out to help support charitable, programmatic functions. You see also, a number of crypto-based companies or DeFi apps that are donating crypto to nonprofit sectors. But to actually reach to those that are the minorities, the most marginalized, will take a while because it goes back to the knowledge gap. There was a knowledge gap with the first tech kind of revolution, let's say, with the rise of the internet, it took so long for this to be adopted in minority communities, in underprivileged communities globally. And so now the use of blockchain as well, in order for them or those that are in the most disadvantaged areas to be able to use it, they really need access to A, the technology, and B, the know-how. And that is on us in terms of, helping support as much as possible, using our voice, giving them access through the nonprofit entities that have access to them. I think we're far away from really creating social, effective, sustainable social impact. But we could potentially do so, you know what I mean? So there's definitely a light at the end of the tunnel. It's just going to take a while to adopt it.
Sorry, no, and I think also that whenever these type of big tech changes come, there's a sense of we're building a new playing field. So in one sense, that's when we all have the opportunity.
It opens up opportunities. It opens up new markets.
Levels out
And by
the access.
educating, onboarding,
Exactly.
we allow these disadvantaged communities to take
I think
advantage
that
of
we're
these
coming
markets.
from a very interesting place instead in terms of the access. Today, even I'm from Argentina, you look at third world countries, everyone has an internet connection, everyone has a phone. So we have to start thinking about, how we build things for that, the access that exists, because it actually does exist, pretty spread out. I think, Latin America has like a 90% penetration of smartphones, right? So you have some sort of access. Now we need to build that bridge so you're not doing things in a very complicated way, and you're doing things for those tools that people can actually, touch the day.
And with greater representation, people leading the way, we have the opportunity to shape these new markets, shape these new opportunities, and shape the people that are participating in that.
Absolutely. And when you look at GameFi, for example, like in Philippines or in some of the more emerging markets, GameFi was an opportunity through gaming that a lot of these underprivileged families were able to really make much more money than they usually do in one day versus the entire month. But of course, with that, there's a lot of, it's quite ambiguous, and, GameFi and its use for underprivileged communities is always questionable, basically. But there has been usage of how this blockchain, how this technology can support, but it will take a while. And I think for it goes back to also the nonprofit. I read this report by UNDP also just recently published, and they themselves still don't know how to work within Web3, how to reach the masses through Web3, how to fundraise using Web3. So I think, honestly, it's going to take a while until we reach to that phase, and it starts with education.
Thank you. Okay, so my next question is something that's been on my mind a lot. I did some polls recently about what Web3 needs most right now, and the overwhelming response was integrity. Inspiring innovators with integrity. So my question to the panel is, how can we inspire integrity in the Web3 economy?
How do we inspire integrity?
Yeah.
I mean, I've found a lot of integrity. I have found a community that supports each other. I have found that, just last night we were sitting around talking to people we had just met, but we knew each other for a year from in World and Dcentral, and we're going around the table and talking about what we're working on right now and sharing. And it's that honesty and that level of comfort which gives me inspiration for this community. I think it's the programming more than the technology. It's the content more than the ones and zeros behind it.
So continuing to do personal relationships, personal connections, grassroots movements, and kind of staying out of these growing pains that we're talking about, the bad actors that are in the space, and continue to strengthen, from a community perspective that is aligned with integrity.
Yeah.
Right.
And integrity is an example always, right? And you learn integrity through example, and then what we need is accountability. And understanding that when someone is crossing a line, when they're getting out of line, we need to say, hey, this is not good. This is this person is not doing the correct thing. It is about social pressure in a way. I don't really see it happening any other way. And I think that we're doing quite a good job of that. You know, of course, the bad actors are going to be there, but they're showing up, you know, right? And they show up pretty quickly, and they're condemned very quickly as well, which I think is very positive because it sets the example moving forward.
Bad actors make the news more than integrity.
Exactly. And I keep
Yeah.
hearing that last year
You're
this
right.
space was completely full, but this year the people that are here are really here building, really here doing what we're talking about, thinking about how we can innovate and how we can solve problems. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so let's see. What is the biggest challenges that you see facing the digital economy right now?
Knowledge gap. Also, in terms of computer literacy, which is, you know, finding those developers that know how to work within blockchain. It has been a growing pain basically for many of us that are trying to build in this space. But it goes back to these two areas for sure.
It's so early.
Yeah.
You know, it reminds me of like a musician when the wah-wah pedal was invented, you know, and it was given to all these different musicians, but Jimi Hendrix took it and created all new music. Now is the time we're being given technology. What are we going to do with it? What can we create that's unique? It's not about looking back and like how we did things in the past and trying to recreate it. It's how do we bring all these things together and do them at once?
I would say also that Web3, in a way, is born out of an idea of self-sovereignty, and I think that's not an idea most people are comfortable with today. This idea that I don't delegate my money to someone else, I don't delegate responsibilities to someone else. So I think that is a cultural change and a barrier as well, because even if you overcome the tech aspects and say, okay, how do I open a wallet? How do I go through all of that? The idea of suddenly you being your own bank is something that is very, is very complicated for a lot of people. And so I think that there's like sort of a cultural movement that still has to happen for this to really work the way that it was designed to work and the way that will really open up these opportunities when we're talking about individuals and individuals connecting across the world and so on without those intermediaries. But I think that that's something that not everyone is comfortable with. The majority of people are not comfortable with this. So it's going to be sort of a cultural change, and seeing that this is being successful and seeing what opportunities that this is, offering for those people that are getting into that will lead people to.
So also we have a little bit of an issue in Web3, I think, at this moment with trust, like customer trust. People that are wanting to adopt this, like in the mainstream, they're looking, and as we said, we've got what's in the news is not the best part of what's happening here. So how are we going to overcome, this is what I see as one of the biggest problems right now in terms of adoption.
Time. We're so early. In 15 years, these kinks will be worked out. It was the same in the beginning of Web 1.
Yep.
There were so many companies and fraud and all these things starting, and they trickled out and they disappeared, and the ones with integrity are what remained.
Yeah, and I think it is about the trust and how you build that trust, but this is supposedly about trustlessness, right? I don't need to have trust, and yet we're still seeing that we have to, build that trust and those systems and so on. So I think it's a bit of a dilemma.
We're waiting for the technology to catch up. We're in such an infancy.
We're growing up. We're growing
up.
together.
Right, and
growing pains.
Again, I think it has to do with like cultural change, saying, okay, I do not need that intermediary. I have to be comfortable without having the intermediary, and I can trust myself. That's all I need, right?
Okay, so the follow-up question is, what is the biggest benefit that the Web3 brings to the digital economy?
You have the ability to create, to build, there's so many opportunities. I mean, when I first got into this space, I was blown away because, you have a chance to earn via NFTs, digital collections, through DeFi, through GameFi, through SocialFi as well. So the opportunities are there, and it's already, looking at the numbers, it's around $1 trillion till now in terms of what it's contributed to the economy. So, in the coming years, really, the way that we do business, the way that we interact is going to be so much different, but it's so exciting to look forward to that.
And it opens up a
We're
global
witnessing
community.
history
That's it.
and
It opens up
change
a
and
global
the
Community.
And it opens up, I think, particularly in the context that like the whole world is in, which is a context of hopelessness, right? It opens up a path forward of hope.
Peer to
And I-
peer.
Yes,
Yeah.
the peer-to-peer, the I can do this no matter where I am. I can be a part of this, and that
You
is
can be
very,
unbanked.
very, very strong in terms of where it can push us. No, we say this is a path forward that has hope, that has development, that has progress. When we're currently in a context where that doesn't really feel possible in the Web 2 world or the world we're in now, right? So Web 3 is hope for me, and I think that that's maybe like the strongest idea that we can get behind, because that's the opening of opportunities, the opening of spaces for everyone to participate.
Yeah, I mean, it's community, but then also as an artist, it's highly addictive. It's amazing to design a piece on a Monday and for it to sell out by Friday. You know, you want to do that again and again.
And as a collector, it's addictive as well.
Right.
And we were just talking yesterday. I was talking with some folks down here in the lobby, and we were like, on the Tezos blockchain. It's like, wow, nobody makes any money there. At least most of us don't, because it's all about, oh, I made it.
Sure.
Oh, I want to collect it. Oh, now I've got some more Tezos. I'm going to go collect somebody else's. It's about exchange of ideas. It's about exchange of art. It's just about exchange between people, and it's fun. So that's not representative of all of Web3, but that is definitely a big piece of it. It's not all about making money.
Absolutely. And it's, here we are thinking out of the box and creating, where we're creating we're making history as we go.
Yeah, and
That's
now,
pretty damn
and now
cool.
we were talking about this with Walter. Now is the time to experiment.
Yep.
So now you feel down. I think it's the best time, and I hope we have more space, because sometimes you feel like you have to have the answer ready next year. You want to have everyone involved next year, but really we have a space now to experiment and really get out of the box and think, what solutions, and because it's very natural to sort of say, okay, what I have now, how can I fix it, make it a little bit better, right? So you're sort of evolving. But now we have sort of the opportunity to say, okay, we can evolve, but we can also go in a completely different direction. And now is the time sort of to really think about that.
So just to conclude with that, we're just about at time here. I just want to say and impress upon everyone that this is a really crucial time. The power is in our hands to shape a global community that we're proud to be a part of. And this is going to entail us staying informed, having challenging conversations, facing those head on, advocating for what we believe in, and most importantly, I believe, choosing to be personally accountable for our actions and how they're going to impact the future. I see there's a question. I think we're at time, but we'll go ahead. What's the question? Okay, so we're at time, and what we're going to do is we're going to meet out in the lobby right here, right outside, and we're going to continue this conversations with the panelists there.
It's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming. Yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. I really look forward to continuing this conversation. I was already having conversations with people this morning, and it's going to happen out there. So thank you so much.